The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw Dating, preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star. Now your host, Nicole Hutchison.
Cowboys Nation,
Bye.
welcome to Girls Talk Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys, right here in the SWBC studio. It is Thursday. We got Aisha Morrison in the building. We got Bonnie Joe Laughlin in the building. We got Jazz Monet in the building. We got Nicole Hutchison in the building, in the studio. What's up, ladies?
In the stew.
What's up? How's it going?
In the mixed stew.
What y'all doing?
We don't take nothing
Okay.
serious.
We don't.
Yes, we do.
We do, though. We do. We take ball. We take
football
ball
serious.
serious.
Yeah. Do we?
We do.
Yeah.
We absolutely do.
Baby, I know I do.
We do. And the Cowboys should be taking this week serious. And we have a lot to talk about here as the Cowboys get ready to take on the Pittsburgh Steelers in week 5. But let's go ahead and just hear what Mike McCarthy had to say, because he was asked about the creativity in his play calling that he feels like he needs to have on Sunday. Here's his thoughts.
Mike, you were saying earlier when you look at when the number of offensive plays are down, you say you want to be more creative. Why is that one of the first things you look at when the overall play, snaps are
Well,
down?
I would say it's this isn't the time to be more creative. It's the selection of creativity. I mean, creativity in our process really starts back in February and in March. So, you have scheme evaluation and then you have scheme evolution. You evaluate your scheme from the prior year and then you got to evolve it. We don't dust off the game plans and the install sheets and just change the date on it. So you're always trying to evolve and hopefully as the player acquisition process moves forward through the spring and then after the draft, you want ammunition for your players, because at the end of the day, it's about players. It's not about plays. I mean, so much in our world is made about scheme and analytics, and it has, the access and information has created more dialogue and opinion, and it's awesome. But at the end of the day, it's still about players. I mean, Marty Schottenheimer used to say that all the time. Times of crisis, think of players, not plays. And I think that's something that has always held true with me, because this game is going to be about fundamentals. This game's going to be about technique, and a big part of it's going to be about who takes care of the football. So, and that's really any time you line up against these guys. So, going to the earlier question, we need to make sure that every time we have the ball, we got to have production. So, and that'll be our goal. And frankly, we need some takeaways on defense too. So, that's the way we've played here in my time here, and we need to pick it up in those areas.
When you say creativity, it's more about the sequencing. It's things that are already there.
Utilization, I would say sequencing. I'll go with that. So,
I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I had to throw that out there because we've talked about how it's gonna be really important for Mike McCarthy to call the hell out of this game because you're taking on a defense that is top in the league, second in rushing defense specifically. But I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I did not know what he was saying in that answer, and the only thing I gathered from that was take care of the football. I don't know if
I got
I'm
that.
not being serious.
What
Like,
did you get?
What did
I
y'all
got
get
that it
from
was
this?
like it's not one person; it's the whole team has to chip in and contribute. And the game plan is not just about one person. That both sides of the ball have to get something done.
I mean, yeah,
What'd
I
you
got
get
some
from
of
that?
that.
I'm not even.
I
trying
don't-
to
I
be
mean, I
funny,
don't-
y'all.
I
I'm
just
The more
serious.
I listen to it, the more I'm confused. And honestly, like the last listen I did of it, I was like, in times of crisis, focus on players, not players. I should have been like, so are you saying we're in a time of crisis? Like, is that, because he said that. So, yeah, I'm not sure. But at the end of it all, because the journalist said it at the beginning. He said that he was asking that question because at the beginning of the press conference, Mike McCarthy said something to the effect of, when volume is down, creativity has to go up. And at the end of it all, he said that he's referring to utilization. So the only thing that I can draw from all that is that he's going to be creative in how he uses the players. And
We're at least asking for, but that's why it's a lot of what he said is somewhat contradicting, because it's like when you talk about the lack of creativity and the utilization, you have guys that you could use creatively to do some of the things that the NFL is doing at this point. The at snap motion, the last minute motion, some of the shifts, even bunch formations. You're not seeing much of, which those really just cause conflict for the corners and linebackers to have to get through. And it also, too, it confuses guys. I mean, you could definitely use that in this game with this secondary. So it's like here's my thing about it. I understand that coaches have their way of doing things. I understand there's ego involved in this as well. Like, I understand that if you've been doing things a certain way for as long as you've been doing them, then you feel confident in that. But the analytics tell you that this is where the NFL is going. And, even talking to some of the guys in the locker room, like motion and all this stuff, like they're aware that this stuff is, if you talk to any defense right now, they tell you how stressing motion and stuff is. And it needs to have a purpose. It needs to have reason. I think about a Kevontae Turpin. I think about some of those guys that you could utilization, players, not plays. You have players that can do some of this stuff, and you're not doing it.
Utilizing them. Yeah.
So it felt like a lot of nothing, a whole bunch of nothing.
It's a word salad that he be doing.
and again, and that's what I'm saying. Like, he doesn't want to say
too much.
It's hard to say as a coach. But I do hear him on the fact that they're not getting a lot of offensive plays. Nope. I hear him on that. But the thing is like, you gotta. If you're not getting a lot of plays, like a lot of the reason why you're not is because you're not good on first and second down. So if you were to be creative and maybe throw some different things at some of these defenders, maybe you would have more plays.
You know what I just thought about? That woman on TikTok could be like, everybody's so creative. You see how that looks like something that you wouldn't normally try? But we're doing it here.
I'm crying.
Like,
please go away. Go away.
I feel like that applies.
Yes, ma'am. So I mean, we're just in a place to where. Go ahead. What you got?
No, my bad.
You got some numbers?
I was gonna ask. Actually, I did. I was trying to find my notes. There
you're fine. Take your time.
It's fine. For now, Jazz, what you had on just a few minutes of Jazz?
All right. My just a few minutes does kind of tie in what we've been talking about with the creativity, because one of the things that I noticed, if I can pull up my notes here, there were more people on the jugs today than what I'm used to seeing. So maybe that points to some of the creative utilization that he's going to be implementing, hopefully. But yeah, so one of the people over there was Kalen Carson, who is still not 100%, but it was good to see him in pads trying to do some things. It looked like him and some other defensive backs were working on some things that we've seen them work on in the past in terms of catching balls with obstructed vision, catching them from behind their back, and things of that nature. So, I mean, I asked him how he felt. He said he feels like he's on the right path. But I didn't see anything that suggested that Mike McCarthy said that he needed to take a big step today. And so in the few minutes that we saw, I personally didn't necessarily see a big step, but it was good to see him out there moving around and using that shoulder a tad bit. And when I say a tad, I mean a tad. I also saw some running backs over there, and they were actually obviously working on catches. But the running back room was actually out there getting in work before warm-ups even started, which I thought was cool. They were working on footwork, working on ball security. So I just took that as a sign that they are taking their role seriously in this game. I think there are a lot of people who are expecting the running back or the running game to not be that successful against the Steelers. So I like the fact that they're getting in a little bit of extra work together and working on some things there. And as far as in the locker room, so I talked to a few offensive players about various things, including what Mike McCarthy might have meant when he referred to creativity. They did not provide much more clarity. So CD, I asked him about it, and he said the expectations of the receiver room haven't seemed to change. But he did give me a quote that he said I could use. He said, execution is a work of art. So I guess when it comes to creativity, from his perspective, he feels like his execution needs to be creative. And I had a fun conversation with Tyler Guyton, who he just kind of talked about how they were, looking at how to deal with TJ Watt and what would probably work and what might not. And the conversation took a turn for the better. It turned into an interesting conversation, I should say, because the other Tyler Smith, came out. So I got to talk to the two of them together because Tyler Smith was also a left tackle his rookie year for the Cowboys. Mm-hmm. So I got to talk to Tyler about, just what his experience was like being in that position and the expectations and also the criticism from the fan base and if they talk about that kind of thing together. And it was good to see Tyler Guyton smile for the first time in a long time. Yes. But that was something they mentioned. Tyler Smith said that he didn't feel good and comfortable in his striking until the playoffs is one of the things that he mentioned. And so he was just like, yeah, it's a week-by-week process, and it sounds like that's something that he's supporting Tyler Guyton in making progress. So, yeah, there's a lot of good coming out of the locker room, but as far as the creativity, they just kind of laughed it off, and they were like, well, it's a playbook, and if the head coach won't tell you, we're not going to tell you either. So still somewhat of a mystery.
Well, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch, and that creativity will hopefully include maybe, I don't know, Ryan Flanoy. Let's hope so. And you got a chance to talk to him, Bonnie Jo. What he'd have to say?
Yeah, I did talk to Flo, and he said that he's been active for 4 weeks. He said for him to have the chance, he said he played the preseason game with a chip on his shoulder. He said he's not going to do that. Didn't work out for him. He said he's going to play football, what he's used to, the Cowboys brand of football. He said he's always looked up to CD. He goes, I've never told him that. He goes, but he's been my role model. He's like, I want to implement my game like CD. And he says he's going to go out and be a dog, and he wants to prove the world because I need to show the world what I can do.
Hey, implementing your game like CD.
I like that.
A big statement.
It is.
Big statement. But I mean, ladies, when you talk about, we didn't go through the practice report. I'm sorry, my bad. Dang, I got excited. All right, let's go through the little practice report. Marquise Bell for full participant again today in practice. Kalen Carson, you had mentioned, limited in practice today. Brandon Cooks, of course, did not participate. Another person who was limited was Trayvon Diggs, ankle. Ezekiel Elliott, limited, ankle, dehydration, Ryan Flanoy, dehydration, limited. And the rest are full participant. Is there any concern at all with
the Trayvon Diggs one? A little bit, just because I seen him in the locker room. I actually touched base with him a little bit in the locker room. And sometimes guys walk because they just, I don't know what it is about basketball and football players. They always walk so dang stiff.
Yeah, they do.
So I couldn't tell, like, if it was, the ankle or whatever the case may be. Maybe he had gotten treatment, but that is definitely something to keep an eye out on, because that matchup with George Pickens, I could definitely see them allowing him to follow George Pickens, just because he's really their big down the field threat, and he's a big body. I think the matchup, I talked to Trayvon Diggs, and he agreed that he feels like they do match up well against each other. So hopefully he's ready to go in that regard. Yeah.
That's something that I spoke with Kalen Carson about yesterday, but he said that he feels as if George Pickens takes off plays a little bit. I don't know.
He does. Well, I mean, so he does, because the thing is that he is the big play threat. So he's still running those routes.
Absolutely.
The ball's not coming to him, but he's still, not all the time, but he's still running those routes. And then also, too, when you look at Justin Fields, he's scrambling, and that he's really the guy that he's looking for when he's scrambling. So that's a lot of running. So I do understand, like, him doing that, and I did also notice that on film as well. I did talk to a couple guys in the locker room as well, and I wanted to kind of highlight the defense, because that's kind of the place where this Steelers team is committed to running the ball. We talked about it yesterday. Absolutely. They're going to run the ball no matter what, and it really opens up the rest of their offense. But as far as, like, some of the things they do with the 3 tight ends and all these things, I will say, talking to the defensive linemen, it feels like they're comfortable in going up against this team. And I think it's also because the Steelers aren't fancy schmancy. They're not about to do a whole bunch of sprinkles and decoration and try to get your eyes going one way and the other way. This is more like a straight-up game, and I feel like, just like with Cleveland, this Cowboys defense does play better when they don't have to worry about all the misdirection and things like that. So sounds like they have some things planned. Also touch base with a couple of the edge players, some of the young edge players, and kind of got some of their thoughts on, like, the absence of Micah and Tank. And, of course, they missed them, but they seem confident and excited about some of the things that Zimmer is cooking up to be able to manufacture pressure. Maybe with some of the linebackers, we might see some packages maybe we haven't seen yet. So that was exciting as well. So I just wanted to throw that little nugget out there. They seem confident in some of the stuff that they're going to do.
They're going to need to be confident. Some little nugget that I found was Pittsburgh's 16 runs of 10-plus yards is 6th most in the league, and Dallas has given up 17.
And a lot of that is from the quarterback.
Exactly.
And a lot of that is from the quarterback, and that was another thing I talked to the defensive line about is, this is the thing with, and I love it for Justin Fields, if I'm being real with you, because, he was in Chicago. a lot was on him in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
They put a lot of stress on him to kind of be the guy, but he really didn't have the receiving threats that you would want from him. So he is starting slowly but surely to becoming a better pocket passer, but also to navigating outside the pocket and being able to use his legs, but also be looking downfield. That was something that a lot of the DBs echoed today, is like scramble drill. I know they've been practicing scramble drill because when he escapes, he's looking to make plays downfield. He will run. So I was asking them, like, how does mobile quarterbacks are so hard for corners, because you can't turn your back to him because he can take off, but then you don't want to leave the receiver. So and I think one guy said, like, you can do everything right and still fail. So I was also asking, like, how do you keep yourself mentally into it? And they were like, you just got to keep chipping away. But, like, yeah, the rush contain thing is fine and everything, but they're going to have to play sound to keep him inside the pocket.
I love that.
And he will turn over the ball, too, when he does scramble.
Yeah.
Field, so that is something to look
he
at,
hasn't done
too.
it much this year.
Not this year, but before
He's
he has.
protected the ball really well this year. And Mike McCarthy did just mention you got to force some turnovers.
Yep, you have to.
And keep this, and get those guys off the field. So I think we might be looking at them really trying to rip that ball out when they get the opportunity.
We're overdue.
Yeah, what you got, Jazz?
I definitely wouldn't depend on him making the same kind of mistakes that he made when he was with Chicago. Like, he's definitely evolved as a quarterback. And even Mike Tomlin mentioned that. I think the relationship between Justin Fields and Mike Tomlin is really fascinating to me because Mike Tomlin talks about Mike Tomlin talks about the fact that he's still learning things about Justin Fields, because, like, if you know anything about how they ended up acquiring Justin Fields, they already had Russell Wilson, and then all of a sudden this opportunity came up, and then they had these two quarterbacks who are very similar, and even were performing very similar despite the difference in their experience. But in his most recent press conference, Mike Tomlin, or the one he did on Tuesday, I don't know if he's done another one since then, but he was talking about how he's learning about Justin Fields' temperament and also what he's good at and when he tends to resort to what. And so one of the things that he is noticing is that he is confident enough right now to, check down and to look for an opportunity to throw the ball even when he's scrambling, as opposed to resorting to escaping all the time or forcing the ball in ways that result in turnovers. So the relationship between those two men seems to be making Justin Fields a better quarterback, literally week over week. And it's just interesting to watch that. It's like, of course, I want the Cowboys to win, but it's like it's also been really, really interesting to watch Justin Fields grow into a better quarterback than it seemed like a lot of people thought he could be, like, before our eyes. It's
something that talk about the checkdowns. McCarthy had actually talked about that today and how impressed he is with his ability to make such quick checkdowns and just get the ball out so fast when he is scrambling. But we're gonna dive more into this matchup in the next segment right here on Girls Talk Boys Talk. So stick with us.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing, but it does sound like something is missing. Pepsi, baby! The yin to this burger's yang. Burgers and Pepsi go together like burgers and Pepsi. This perfect blending of flavors makes every bite of lettuce, every sesame seed on the bun, and every sip of that crisp, refreshing, ice-cold cola a journey to Foodtopia. Burgers, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that 6th ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
The Dickey family always mandated that the only Polish-style sausage worthy of their restaurant must have high-quality coarse ground beef and pork, rich spices, and fresh natural casings. We still serve it to this day, and it's so popular, Dickey's sausage has been named the official sausage of the Dallas Cowboys. The perfect matchup on game day. Dickey's Barbecue Pit. No one outsmokes us. Order at dickeys.com. For groups, call 866-BARBECUE.
Dibs on the ribs.
All right, Cowboys fans, the Cowboys take on the Steelers in Pittsburgh on October 6th. So we're hosting a free watch party presented by 7-Eleven. Join us at Miller Lighthouse at AT&T Stadium to watch the game with Cowboys Nation. Cue Thunderstruck because the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders are performing and Rowdy will be there too. So watch the game, grab a Slurpee, and cheer aloud. Get your free tickets at dallascowboys.com/watch party.
All right, Cowboys Nation, make sure to go and check out the free. We said free.
McFree.
Make sure you heard that correctly. Watch party. It'll be a lot of fun, hopefully. All right, ladies. I'm going to start with September football. That has been the big theme for Mike McCarthy, and the fact that everybody has that slow start. Everybody has, just kind of figuring things out as far as in the first part of the season, first month of the season. So now the Cowboys are 2-2 heading into October with tough little gauntlet coming up. They got the Steelers, of course, this Sunday. Then you follow back up with Detroit Lions at home. Then you have a bye week, a little chance to reset. Then the 49ers away in San Francisco in week, what is that, week 6?
Week 7, right?
Math is a little bad. Week 7.
7.
I think it's week 7. Absolutely.
Right? Yeah,
and
7.
so one thing that I spoke with, I talked to DeMarvion Overshone and asked him, how much pressure is there to avoid kind of like that roller coaster ride y'all had in September. And he was like, man, it's a lot of pressure, but we don't want to end up on, the opposite side of as far as like a 2-2 record in October. Because what they're doing is breaking it down by little trimesters.
They doing that again?
Yes. Yeah, that's the thing. They're breaking it down just to kind of focus on what the job is at hand. So, he just basically told me that he thinks that, there's a lot of pressure, but it's something that they feel like they can rise up to the challenge. But my concern is that there's no real identity of this team just yet. Again, it's still early, but my question to you is, and I'll start with you, Bonnie Jill, is what identity would you like for the Cowboys to show against the Steelers?
Yeah, I think in the beginning, the identity was a little bit of an identity crisis. I think there was a lot of confusion, very inconsistent. And they kept talking about fundamentals. I kept talking about details, and that's something that we hope they would get through after September. So I think a lot of that is, yes, they are paying attention to details, but the rhythm, being able to get that, to get the running game going. We saw what they could do against the Giants. Of course, this is a completely different team with the Steelers and how they stopped the run. But I think being able to develop that, be able to see the connection between Dak and CD, because CD has to have a huge game, I think, for us to win. And so I think getting our offense just going, opening up the offense, I think is big. And that's what I'm looking for, is mostly just this offense to open it up and to get it going.
What about you?
The phrase I wrote down is survival mode, because they don't have an identity. They don't have anything that it feels like they can really depend on. Like at the end of the day, they can resort to what we haven't really seen anything yet. I was about to say, except for maybe, Dak and CD making plays, but,
I like that survival mode.
And so I said that they're good. Like, they have good players, but they're not dominant as a team. So it does kind of feel like week by week, you're just kind of hoping for the best. Like, they're hoping to survive until they get to a point where it's like, okay, we have an identity now. But it really just feels like it's very much a week by week, quarter by quarter. You just kind of hold your breath and hope for the best kind of thing. And that sounds like survival mode to me.
Yeah. You want to see, your identity that you want to see is...
the identity that I want to see versus the Steelers. So here's the word I wrote down.
I like you got the words.
The word I wrote down is Mephistophelian.
What the world?
Mephistophelian. So at first what I said was malevolent, but malevolent just means that you have like evil intentions towards somebody. Because what I want from them is to like be more aggressive and not just, they talk a lot about
toughness,
doing, Yeah, they talk a lot about doing their job, but I feel like you also have to approach doing your job with a certain amount of also, I want to ruin their day. Like, I don't want to just do well, but I want them to have a bad day today. For the next 3 hours, y'all are going to hate life. I feel like is the attitude you need to take against the Steelers. Yeah. And so what Mephistophelian means is it's whenever you are both cunning and you are malevolent. So it's kind of like one of the words that's used as a synonym is scheming. So scheme, right? So just someone who's both smart and also is kind of villainous at the same time. So
I like those words. I'm going to use those.
Hey, that was good.
Yeah, very much. Good insight.
Mephistophelian.
We need to stack.
And what was the other word?
The first one. The first one that I came up with before Mephistophelian was malevolent. Malevolent. We all know that word, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess mine is kind of similar to yours in a sense. I'm looking for them to be assertive in general. I mean, from the start, like on both sides of the ball. I mean, this offense doesn't do a whole bunch. I think we'll see a similar game plan as what we've seen against Cleveland as well. This game is important because this is one of the best defenses you're going to play all year. Yep. Their defensive line, the way that they can control the line of scrimmage and stuff like that, it's going to test. To your point, it is going to test their toughness, but they need to be the asserters. They need to be striking and getting off the ball quickly. Like that's something that needs to happen on the offensive side of the ball. There needs to be decisiveness on what they want to do early. This defense, I want to call them Cleveland's defense so bad. This Steelers defense, they want to keep everything in front of them. We talked about it earlier. They want to keep everything in front of them. They're betting on you to make a mistake. They're not wanting to give up anything over the top or big plays. I would come out and hit them in the mouth immediately. Yeah,
absolutely.
Like that's kind of how you have to do things. I'm looking for them to force and dictate coverage because this defense, they want to sit in cover 3. They don't want you to do anything over the top. You can attack the middle of the field on these people. Do some things to stress them. Like you have to. So I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for them to be assertive to start this game and not be waiting for them, not reacting to what the Steelers are doing to them, but them making them react to what we're doing.
Because they haven't done that yet.
What we're doing. Yeah. So that's what I'm looking for.
Mine, I like both of those, and yours too. Mine is more so of response. Okay. I want to see how they respond. Granted, both of these teams are teams that have struggled with fast starts.
Yes.
I think the Steelers are averaging like 7.1 yards.
That's a good point.
7.1 points per half in the last 4 games. So no, I want to see how you're assertive, and if you are not assertive, how do you respond to going down first? Because the Cowboys have not been a team that have just been the team that's type of imposing. You know what I'm saying? So that's something I want to see is response.
So yours response. Yours was assertive. Mine was consistent, and yours was
Mephistophelia.
Yeah.
Mephistophelia. I did not know.
I'm also looking for the Cowboys too. I don't know if you guys noticed, and CeeDee Lamb actually said this in the presser today. What was that? Anyway, seeing that he said it today is that they feel in the second half of games that they're trailing off.
Yeah, he did say that.
Don't do that. Yep. I need y'all to finish because they need to be able to carry some of the good things that they found later on in games into the next game. They've come out in some of these first halves, played well, and then in that third quarter when teams kind of figure some things out, to your point, how do you respond to the response? How do you respond to people figuring out some things? You got to play through it and be involved in the chess match as well. What you got?
Well, not only that, but the late in the games is when the Steelers tend to get hot. Absolutely. So even if for no other reason other than that, the Cowboys need to be able to finish. They need to get off to a good start, obviously, but they need to be able to maintain that because I spent a good amount of time trying to examine what the Colts did differently versus as opposed to other teams that have played the Steelers, because all those games were relatively close. But the Colts were the one who finally delivered the Steelers their first loss. And one of the things that they did was they did start off aggressive on offense. And you could tell it kind of threw the defense off balance a little bit, or at least it seemed to. They didn't seem to be as secure as the Steelers started off in other games. And they also just did some some things that I thought were funny. Like they were just like, we're just going to run every play away from TJ Watt. We're just gonna go that way.
Which is
But
smart.
hey,
That's what you do.
I'm like, hey, go for it. Yeah. But it was later in the game when people started saying, oh, the Steelers could come back. It was all of that was happening in the second half. So even if they do get off to that fast start, if they fall off in the second half and CD is not productive and whoever else is not productive, then the Steelers do have it in them to keep it close and then come back and win.
And the ability to grind all 4 quarters. I mean, we haven't really seen that. All 4 quarters, all 3 cylinders.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna add to her point. I'm glad that you brought up Indy. The Chargers as well were able to find some success early in the game, attacking their linebackers, attacking very quickly, going to that and attacking the middle of the field. And also too, it sucks because we just talked about some of the creativity and stuff. That's how the Colts got them as well. They did a lot of motion. They did a lot of things, shifts at the right late into the play clock too, where these guys are getting set. You see them trying to figure out where they need to be. Yeah, look, what you got?
That was something you mentioned, the linebackers.
Yes.
And, okay, one thing I actually talked to CD about, I get a little teaching moments from him, is that
Love
they
it.
do only play 2 linebackers. But he said, literally, you were right there where he said they have a safety that drops from the sky. But what he meant was they have a safety that drops down in coverage to help. Yeah, to help with tackling. So, I mean, I don't know, do you truly feel like this could be a possibility where the Cowboys could attack the middle of the field?
Yeah, absolutely. With the Jake Ferguson specifically, but you can attack. I think you can attack in the passing game with some of the slants, some of those quick things. Like I would assume with what's going on, Dak is gonna have to get the ball out fast.
Yep.
So they can put CeeDee Lamb and some of these other guys in positions to have some yak yardage as well. Because the thing about the Steelers defense, they tackle well for the most part, but you can get them in some bad angles. You can get them whiffing on some tackles and doing some things kind of funky. But another thing that I saw, we heard Dak a couple weeks say, I got to run the ball more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the game.
You think so?
I think
yes,
so.
ma'am. This is the game.
If protection's there.
Well, it's because of protection, but I would like to see some design runs. I would like to see some things from him. I would like to see because you got to stress this defense, make them chase you, make them have to second guess things. It'll open up your run game as well. But when you look at, to your point, Jazz, what the Colts did, Anthony Richardson tore their asses up early in that game before he got injured. It was because he just would scramble. He would just scramble and make something out of nothing. And I can't say it. We're talking about it on the other side of things, how stressing it is for a defense. With a defense like this that is this sound, you have to do things to shake them up.
Yeah.
If you play them straight up, they're going to make you pay.
And one thing I noticed is that it's funny to say there's 5 teams that when they bring more than 4 players off for pressure, their pressures go down. Because of the 4-man rush, they don't rely on the blitz. And so I thought that was interesting. There's only 5 teams that do that.
Yeah.
When they bring in more guys, their pressure goes down.
Yeah,
I think they're bottom 3 in blitzing, top 3 in QB pressures in the NFL.
Hold on. I just saw the stat on that. The Steelers have blitzed on just 20% of dropbacks this season, the 5th lowest rate in the league, and their lowest mark in the next-gen stats era, which is since 2016. On the flip side, CeeDee Lamb has accumulated the 3rd most receiving yards against the blitz since entering the NFL in 2020. Y'all see how fast I pulled that?
Yeah, no. Yeah, and to your point, yes, they go as their D-line goes.
Absolutely.
The secondary, everybody benefits at the fact that they can rush 4, so they can just drop guys in coverage.
You said something so good right there.
What?
They go as their D-line goes.
They do.
I love that.
Yeah, they do. They go as their D-line goes.
Everybody does.
I know.
It's now.
We didn't have that type of play before last week, so I'm just saying.
The Cowboys used to be able to get home with 4 last year, so we're in new territory right now. Keanu Benton is dealing with. We talked about it yesterday. Was he on the practice report for today?
Let me go to it.
He is dealing with an ankle. He is their DT. That matchup between he
was
and
a full
Cooper Beebe.
Okay, yeah, he
full
and Cooper Beebe. It's gonna be big because Dak getting that pressure from up the middle can be kind of stressing, can cause some issues there. These guys want to jump routes, and as far as their secondary goes, I think you can do some things attacking their nickel corner, Beanie Bishop. I think we'll see CeeDee Lamb in the slot a little bit. If they're smart, they will see CeeDee Lamb in the slot a little bit.
Piggybacking off of what you said about kind of getting the defense off their game a little bit. I did write down that Dak needs to run, but I also wrote down eye discipline. I feel like and this was whenever I thought we might answer the question about creativity as far as like what we'd like to see. I don't know if that's something that they plan on doing, but I feel like this would be a fun game to kind of try to look off the defenders sometimes, because one thing that we know for sure is that they are looking at for what's going to happen with CD and Ferg, right? Sure. Yeah. So I feel like Dak has to have a big game in the sense that not only is he going to have to make plays with his playmakers, obviously, but he's also going to have to at times get other guys involved. So I feel like the more he can confuse the defense and get other guys involved and kind of make the defense second guess their assignments, make them hesitate even if for a split second, I feel like that can work to the Cowboys' advantage as well.
Who's if y'all had to guess, I'm asking host questions. If y'all had to guess who's gonna be the guy outside of CD Lamb as the two receiver taking Brandon.
Have to be the guy?
Brandon, I'm asking, who do you guys think, ladies rather, who do you ladies think is gonna be that second receiver in this game? Technically.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Technically. I'm going to go Turp because
Okay.
I think you could do some different things with Turpin as far as using him as a deep ball threat. He's got the speed that Brandon Cooks had.
Even the crossers and stuff like that, too.
I think you can use even coming out of the backfield. We always talk about the way that McCarthy uses his receivers. You got to be able to play the first, second, and third spot, but it's really the fourth spot because you got to play out of the backfield. So, yeah, I mean, I think Turpin could be that dangerous kind of like, holy crap weapon for this team.
Absolutely. What you got? Who you think?
I was honestly thinking Turpin for the same reason. I mean, part of me just wants to like think outside the box and be like, yeah, Flournoy, he's a wild card if he could stay hydrated. But
you're going to jail.
I'm sorry.
You're going to jail.
Being dehydrated at practice is wild. But no, like with him being a wild card, I do think there is potential for Flournoy to have some surprise moments. I really do, especially just considering his size. I feel like there's a lot that he can bring to the table that the opposing defense won't be expecting. But as far as like what we've seen before, I do think that it's going to be between Ferg and Turpin. Ferg, because we've seen how he likes to use Ferg. Although Dak tends to use his tight ends more to get out of blitz situations, and they don't blitz a lot. So I feel like if he doesn't use Ferg a lot and Ferg ends up playing another role on the offense, that might be why. Yeah. But aside of that, I was thinking Turpin because, Turpin could also be a surprise in a sense, but a more experienced surprise. He's actually had more time on the field with the offense, but he hasn't gotten so many snaps to where what he's going to do and how he's going to be used would be predictable. So,
and they run something I was also talking to CDs about the fact that, of course, they're probably going to be doubling him. So they run a lot of zone. So that has a lot of, you basically find the creases and the openings of where you can attack the field. So that gives Turpin.
CD is so good at that.
CD's good at that.
And I think Turpin can do it. I will say that, Jalen Tolbert statistically is one of the best deep ball threats technically in the NFL right now as far as his efficiency. Yeah. And to me, to force them out of some of the stuff they want to do, you are going. The way I would love a deep shot first play, and not in it. And again, even because they're not expecting that.
Yeah, they're not.
Teams aren't expecting that.
That's from the Cowboys. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, teams aren't expecting that, and they did it a couple times last year. I would love to see some a deep ball early. Right there, I want them to connect on it, but if you don't connect on it, at least let them know, hey, big dog.
We here.
We understand what y'all like to do. This is something else for you to think about. So for me, it would be Jalen Tolbert just because of the size and what he has shown so far as being reliable and being the deep ball threat at this point. Because I think he's made most of the big plays downfield at this point. So yeah, that would be kind of what I'm looking for from the offense at that standpoint. But Turpin is a good guy to talk about as well.
Who you got, Bonja?
I said Ferg right away. Yeah, but I'd love what you said about Tolbert. And it's time for him to kind of step up and show what he can do. And so I think being that deep ball threat and also just flow, like you said, a little bit of what you're saying is like literally with flow, no one knows, what he can do out there. And that may be some surprises. Maybe the Steelers are going to be, not be able to know how to.
Wait, why you say Ferg? Just because of the tight end usage?
Yeah, okay. Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned.
She said technically, but.
Yeah, you mentioned the zone defense. And that's another reason why I say Tolbert, because Tolbert has had experience. He played a lot of snaps last year. He didn't get the ball that much, but he played a lot of snaps last year. He's obviously played it quite a bit now. You need guys that also too aren't jittery and can sit in zones. Like Turpin is still learning some of that feel as a receiver. He does, and he can't. And I think it's just because he got so much inside of him. Like he has so much.
He wants to do so much.
He really does.
Yeah.
And to your point, like I believe Tolbert can find the soft spots and zones. Sit there, be patient. He's always looking for Dak. That's why you see them connect in scramble drill. But with Turpin, this could be a game where he can show he can do that
and settle in. Yeah.
And settle in, and also too, if Dak can get him on the run, it would be huge. Like I'm looking for them to make some plays on the run as well, because these guys will miss tackles on the third level of the defense.
All right, ladies, we got to take our second break before we wrap up the show. Up next, you're watching Girls Talk Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys. We'll be right back.
The Dickey family always mandated that the only Polish-style sausage worthy of their restaurant must have high-quality coarse ground beef and pork, rich spices, and fresh natural casings. We still serve it to this day, and it's so popular, Dickey's sausage has been named the official sausage of the Dallas Cowboys. The perfect matchup on game day. Dickey's Barbecue Pit. No one outsmokes us. Order at dickeys.com. For groups, call 866-BARBECUE.
Dibs on the ribs.
We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing, but it does sound like something is missing. Pepsi, baby. The yin to this burger's yang. Burgers and Pepsi go together like burgers and Pepsi. This perfect blending of flavors makes every bite of lettuce, every sesame seed on the bun, and every sip of that crisp, refreshing, ice-cold cola a journey to Foodtopia. Burgers, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that sixth ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
Frisco Oktoberfest returns for its 5th annual celebration at the Star here in Frisco on Saturday, October 5th from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Enjoy German cuisine, traditional Oktoberfest games, live music, and entertainment all day while sipping on Oktoberfest beer. Join the Star in Frisco for a full day of festive fun. Nicole, you need to go because remember you said you didn't know what Oktoberfest was.
They setting up out there.
And so there you go.
All right. All right, ladies, before we wrap things up, who has to have a big game on Sunday? Not who do we expect, but who has to have a big game for the Cowboys to get the win on Sunday?
Does it have to be one person? Because I'm just thinking about I don't want to call them the supporting cast of the offense, but, the people we don't normally label as star players. Because if they don't pose a threat, it's going to be so easy for the Steelers defense to just hone in on a couple of people and just shut down the Cowboys offense. And I just feel like the other guys are going to have to pose a threat in order for them to feel like they have to play the total game, quote unquote, that Mike Tomlin talked about.
Okay.
What you got, Bonnie?
I don't know. It's tough because, like you said, I feel like everyone has to contribute this game. The obvious is Dak and CD, but to your point, I think it's everyone's going to have to create. What is it? The creativity. I think it's
y'all cheating.
Yeah.
They cheated. They really just over here cheating.
Are you sure you
Who has to have a big game? Mike McCarthy. He better call the heck out of this game.
Yeah.
That's more
there
like
we go.
it.
He's the ass. Yeah.
Fix your face.
I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I'm just gonna say this Dallas offensive line.
Yeah.
This is a big task.
Yep.
This is a big task. I mean, you got Cameron Hayward versus Tyler Smith wrestling in there. Keanu Benton and Cooper Beebe wrestling. TJ Maxx. I'm about to go shopping this weekend. TJ Watts.
Go away.
TJ Watts against Terrence Steele. They move him around. Tyler Guyton. I mean, man, listen. And these Dallas tight ends are going to earn every penny that they making.
This would be a good game for Tyler Guyton to have a really good game, because if they do run let's say they try to imitate that. We know the Cowboys don't do that a lot, but if they do try to imitate that and run things away from TJ Watt, then that still means that Tyler Guyton's got to be sound in his assignments. Yeah. So
this offensive line is going to have to come play.
I'm going to go.
How about you?
Defensive line.
Okay.
And I said that because, sorry.
Okay,
bad.
man.
I'm extra. My bad. H-Town girl leaving house. No, I'm going to go defensive line because, one, you got to contain Justin Fields. Goodness, too many quarterbacks I'm thinking about. Justin Fields. Najee Harris is also, he can be a threat coming out of the backfield.
He struggled this season, but I think he's kind of overdue, huh?
In somehow, some way, these running backs always figure it out against the Cowboys. So I'm going to go defensive line. Plus, I mean, you have to build off the performance that you had in week 4, 26 rushing yards that the Cowboys allowed for the Giants. So I think that this is going to be a test, but I think that they have the pieces that can build on from that performance in week 4.
Yeah.
Ooh, these weeks is running all together.
Yeah. It's
going
crazy
quick.
how quickly
Quick.
it's
this
going.
is week 5, so
Yeah. It's great. It's great. On that note, we'll be back here tomorrow for more Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys, to talk more Cowboys-Steelers matchup.
Go boys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!